You're watching Newsfeed AM. Let's pick up on this discussion now. The Independent Electoral Commission will this afternoon make announcements on its next steps following the Constitutional Court's ruling on Friday. You'll remember that the Concourt ruled against the IEC's application to postpone the election until February next year. Now, joining me for this discussion and tell us what they are expecting is the United Democratic Movement leader, Bantu Holomisa. General, thank you very much for your time. Firstly, before we get into electoral matters, the NFP leader, Zanele Msibi, has passed on. Let's get your reaction first.
On behalf of the United Democratic Movement, we do hereby pass our condolences to her family, as well as to the NFP. She worked very hard. I've met her while she was still with the IFP. A very hard-working person. I think the NFP had the bad luck when her health deteriorated. And I hope that the NFP will have a strength to continue from where she left off.
Yes.
May her soul rest in peace.
General, thank you very much for those words of comfort to the NFP and indeed the family of Zanele Msibi. Let's then get into the reasons we called you here, and that is the interpretation of the Constitutional Court ruling on Friday, with some people saying that they view the court order as allowing the IEC to reopen the process of submission of party lists. Is that how you, as the United Democratic Movement, view the Constitutional Court's decision around this matter?
First and foremost, the IEC went to the Concourt to ask for the postponement of the elections because of the pandemic-related cases and so on. It didn't go there to ask the Concourt as to whether they can which date can they register party members, the candidates. That matter was left entirely to the commission. If the commission then, after this judgment, decides that they want to give more time or extend time, that falls within their powers. So what we should be careful of here in South Africa is to promote unnecessarily issues which would lead to instability. When people feel that their democratic rights has been denied, I'm expecting that the IEC Commission, by this time, after they had received the reasons for judgment, they might have asked for a legal opinion which would guide them. And then the commission has a right today to say, all right, we postpone election. I mean, we open or we extend the period for registration for those parties which did not comply. So expect that the IEC today will announce that they will give an opportunity to those parties which did not finalize the registration of candidates, because it was a mess which was done by the IEC itself, and they have said publicly. Why must we punish political?
I'm going to take you up, General, on your accusation to the IEC that it was their mess in the first place, and therefore they should allow political parties the opportunity to register their candidates. But before we get there, you seem to speak with some measure of authority around the IEC, possibly granting political parties another chance at submitting their candidate lists. Have you had meetings with the IEC thus far around this matter?
I didn't have any meeting with the IEC. All I'm saying to you is that they have no choice. They cannot shield their responsibility of extending the deadline. It's permissible. They have done so in the past. Even when they told us that day that they will close at 5. When political parties complained, they extended the deadline. Even in 1994, when we were voting, there was a deadline on the day of the voting. But when people were still queuing outside, they were allowed, they had to extend the period. So I'm not going to accept this nonsense of the IEC, which has caused this mess in this country. Remember, the parties wrote to the IEC and said, can we have a meeting with you and discuss as to whether it would be feasible for the elections to be held this year? And the IEC accepted that invitation, and they invited us. And we said to them, they must invite help as well as the scientists. They did so. But guess what? On the eve of that meeting, on a certain Friday, the president announced the date for election. Yet, we were supposed to have contributed as stakeholders. And then I remember I told the meeting, I said, but why are you making us to look like boys? Why are you tossing us around? Why are you calling us here? And then later on, as you know, they appointed Msenege when they were under attack. Senega's appointment was nothing else other than to cover their tracks.
So let me ask you this crucial question then, General, because, and it is based on the ruling of the Constitutional Court, where it says that the election timetable that was published by the IEC, which essentially set the August 23 deadline for political parties to register candidates and submit their lists. The Concourt maintains that that particular date remains applicable and legally binding. So, your expectations that the IEC must reopen this process, I think it's in doubt.
Well, I have said my piece. I've justified it, why I'm saying so. So if the commission, which has got its own legislation, wants to abdicate their duty, it's none of my business. But I'm saying the IEC must extend this period, say, between 19 and 21st of September, and that would be it.
All right. General, I can't let you go without getting your comments on some of what the Sowetan reported as your comments around the release of the former President Jacob Zuma on parole. And the suggestion there is that you are of the view that a point has been proven, that no one is above the law. However, the former president, because of his ill health and age, he must go home. But others are going to say, but what about the rule of law? Has the correctional services here bend the rules to accommodate a political figure?
Rule of law. Let's start from where the process started. Mr. Zuma was charged and he went to court. Rather, he was eventually sentenced to 15 months imprisonment. He complied with that. The judicial process did take its place. Then, while he was in hospital, the medical doctors came up with a different report, and that medical report, in terms of the laws of this country, has to be attended to by the government. Mm-hmm. So this matter now is in the hands of government. But what we should be focusing on is to ask the Commissioner or Department of Correctional Services to share the conditions under which they have released him, mm-hmm. because they mentioned those conditions. Over and above that, the Commissioner of Correctional Services would have not taken a decision alone just to release Msholozi on the recommendation of medical report. Mm. He must have compiled a cabinet, a memo to his political head. In this case, it's the minister. And the minister himself must have referred the matter to the president or the cabinet. Hmm. So what these guys should do is for the minister to call a press conference and explain the whole process. For them to hide to say it's the Commissioner of Correctional Service is wrong.
All right.
There's no way that this would have been done by him alone. As far as the issue of the age, and also I did say that we have young and fit people who have stolen billions of rands and millions. They have not been arrested. By sending President Zuma to jail, we sent a message to say no one is free from accounting.
All right.
And no one is above the law. He has been charged and he has complied. Now let's focus to these young ones and fit ones who have stolen monies, who was flaunting all over the streets, loitering around the country. So the consequences must be seen to be done, applied to all those.
All right. General Bantu Holomisa, thank you very much for your time, leader of the United Democratic Movement.